now call Mr. Usman Mubarak for the welcome address.
I just want to appreciate you for having time to come here today to witness this press release. The press release, I believe, is going to guide us on how we can disseminate information down to the local communities we have. It is interested to you to know that some people cannot be able to get information they like that is useful to them. But I believe with the team we have right now, the information can go to everywhere we want it to go. And as you find time to come here today, this morning, we thank you very much and we wish you a successful program. Thank you very much.
We'll be going on the briefing on what this whole press conference is all about. I think we'll invite the education champions so that they can brief us on why we are here.
CSO sets basic education agenda for political candidates ahead of 2023 general elections in Adamawa State. Protocol. On behalf of the Education Champions Network, ECN in Nigeria, we welcome you to the press briefing on the Adamawa Civil Society Education Manifesto for political candidates. The Education Champions Network, ECN, is a global network of champions advocating for girl-child education. ECN Nigeria envisions a Nigeria where all women and girls, particularly the most vulnerable, have access to 12 years of free, safe, and quality education. The Education Manifesto was developed by civil society organizations in Adamawa State under the Election Education Advocacy Project being implemented by ACE Charity, Center LSD, the Inclusion Project, Scaad Initiative, and LEDAP to ensure political candidates prioritize education in their manifestos and even after being elected into offices. The project is also empowering the traditional and religious leaders, media, schoolgirls, and the general public to hold the leaders accountable and ensure that political candidates include specific education asks in their agenda during electioneering campaigns and implement the same when elected. The project is part of the Joint Action Grant supported by Malala Fund. Records have shown that not only is the standard of education falling, but also the rate of out-of-school children, particularly the girl child. This does not give hope for the future of the girls and the people of Adamawa State. With about 20 million out-of-school children in Nigeria, 60% of this figure is from the northeast part of the country, inclusive of Adamawa State. In Adamawa State, 30.2% of primary school age children are not enrolled in any school. 32.7% of girls of primary school age are out of school compared to 27.7% of boys. The number of out-of-school children for junior and secondary school age children is even higher across both genders, but more so for girls. The record is further confirmed by the National Manifesto of the ECN in Nigeria, which states that the number of out-of-school children of primary school age in Nigeria increases by 50% from 6.4 to 9.7 million, while the out-of-school rate has remained constant at 28% since 2010. Nigeria is among the top 3 countries, alongside India and Pakistan, with the most children and youth excluded from education, and the vast majority of these children are girls. The implication of this is evident in the inability of the country to harvest the benefits of basic education to Nigeria's economy. It is estimated that GDP growth of up to $243 billion will be gained if every girl completes a full 12-year cycle of education in Nigeria. With the level of human resources available to the country, and if well harnessed, Nigeria will not be mentioned or categorized as the educationally poor alongside others in Southeast Asia. It is important that schools provide quality education that enables our children thrive. However, schools in Adamawa State, particularly public schools, are crippled by lack of appropriate infrastructure, low number of teachers, lack of books, and low capacity building for these teachers. Additionally, Despite the free education policy that has been given in the state, students are forced to pay hidden fees like developmental and PTA levies, which further discourages children from accessing education. Today, Nigeria is deep-seated in multifarious conflicts and violence, covering all the geopolitical zones of the country, be it Boko Haram, banditry, farmer-headed clashes, and other criminal elements. The advent of this crisis has taken a toll on the country's economy, the people, and especially women and girls. This ECN strongly believes and notes that equitable access to quality education, particularly for girls, can reduce conflict and insecurity across the country by up to 37%. Similarly, providing free, safe, and quality education for up to 12 years will reduce early marriage and social injustice, leading to a healthier, wealthier, and happier population. It is for this reason that the ECN draws the attention of stakeholders in Nigeria and Adamawa State to take up the challenge of championing the cause of basic education for all children of school-going age, and particularly the girl child in the state. The current administration in Adamawa State has done its best by providing free education at the basic education levels, but more needs to be done concerning girl child education in the state.
To this extent, we call on the next government of Adamawa State to: number one, fund more, fund better. Increase state-level financing for education by spending at least 22.5% of the state budget, in line with the commitment made by the federal government. 2. Provide counterpart funding to access UBE funds to allow for increased financing of the education sector. 3. Strengthen the education monitoring and evaluation system by implementing the UNESCO National Education Account to guard proper budget preparation and implementation, and make budgets gender-sensitive, transparent, and utilized in education. 4. Ensure schools are truly free for 12 years by eliminating hidden fees such as education levies, PTA fees, exam fees in all schools. 5. Provide quality education for all. Ensure all schools meet standards that ensure quality learning for all children, proper school infrastructure, availability of learning and instructional materials, adequate number of teachers for all core subjects, and recreational facilities. 6. Ensure improved welfare and capacity building for all teachers to provide quality learning through the implementation of professional development programs, teacher promotion, new minimum wage, and proper accommodation when necessary. 7. Provide the educational resources, teachers training, and ICT infrastructures needed to implement STEM education and vocational skills training in all secondary schools. Make schools safe. 8. Effectively and immediately roll out the implementation of the Safe School Plan of Action and the National Policy on Safety, Security, and Violence-Free Schools. 9. Provide functional, safe, inclusive, and gender-responsive water, sanitation, and hygiene facilities in schools to keep girls in schools during their period, protect students from the risk of open defecation, and prevent them from contacting wash-related infections due to lack of water, hand-washing facilities in schools. 10. Ensure that students deprived of access to quality education as a result of conflicts, violence, or crisis are promptly given access to quality alternative education in a safe environment, in line with the national guidelines for accelerated basic education. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, most of you have been trained on the strategic approach to utilizing the power of the press to ensure that various aspirants vying for different positions in the state include key developmental issues such as education, security, and provision of basic amenities for the populace into their campaign messages. It is time for media bodies to maximize the power of their press and reflect on the education crisis in Nigeria and in Adamawa State in particular and take a stand for education. The media must devise an effective mechanism for holding political leaders accountable to deliver on campaign promises when elected into office. In conclusion, as a coalition, we remain catalytic in our approach to the campaigns for better education in Nigeria. We must work together with all the relevant stakeholders in education to advocate to the leadership at all levels to prioritize education at the basic level and beyond, particularly for girls. It is time to empower young women and girls with education so that the future can be better, to be able to contribute to societal development. Adamawa State government must not fail to offer a truly free, high-quality, basic education to school-aged children, especially in Adamawa State. The Nigerian child has a right to free basic education, regardless of their circumstances, and the Nigerian government must be seen to promote this right by investing the needed resources towards achieving education for all. For the Education Champions Network, Adamawa State Chapter, ACE Charity, African Center for Leadership Strategy and Development Center LSD, Legal Defense for Assistance Project LEDAP, the Inclusion Project TIP, Sustainable Collective Advocacy for African Development Initiative, Scaad Initiative. Thank you all for listening.
We've heard it all from our champions. The floor is open for questions.
We want to know who signed this statement so that it can be reflected in our stories. As it is, it's only about 2 people read out the statement. In newspaper, we need 1 name with the position of that person. That is one. And secondly, you said out of school children was rated 28%, which was constant since 2010, right? Yes. What did your organization do to reduce that number of out of school children in Nigeria? Thank you.
One major pitfall with your report is that it has failed to encompass, the school feeding projects of both the federal government and the state government. And we know billions of naira have been spent on that initiative. And like the federal government has been saying, that it is one of the major things that have been pushing children to go back to schools. So I don't know why you did not include that very important aspect in your presentation, your reports. Thank you.
I'm Billy from the Sun newspaper. I find your report not balanced in my opinion, because it seems as if you are more interested in every wrong thing that happened in Adamawa State without mentioning it, as if nothing good has happened. So why is it that in your report, if the intention is to encourage governments and public officers to do more, why is there no commendation for the good things that have happened? It's just all the bad things that have happened that was stated without saying as if nothing good has happened in Adamawa State in terms of education.
The first question, the manifesto was developed by the Education Champions Network and is being signed by the Education Champions Network.
The champions are a coalition of 5 NGOs. You understand? Yes. That is why we said Education Champion Network, ECN.
We need one name.
What is the purpose of the name?
The tradition, the person that reads the copy, is the name we use. The first conference was read by Susan.
Oh, okay. So it was read by Hassan Ashuaib.
No, one person. Because you as a spokesperson of the truth. That is why you read the...
What has our organization done to reduce out-of-school children? As an NGO, as NGOs, we've been sponsored by Malala Fund, and we have been working to sponsor out-of-school girls to school. We have been advocating. One of the things we are doing now is we are advocating for out-of-school children. We individually in our NGOs have carried out several programs where we pay the school fees of children, we've paid their WAEC fees, paid their JAM fees. That's for those that were not enrolled in the sponsorship list. And we have been doing it for several years now. But we are not here to talk about what the NGOs are doing for out-of-school children, because truly it is not the job of the NGOs to make sure children are going to school. We are supporting the government. The government is supposed to ensure that there are policies set in place to ensure that all children are in school, and then we support by sensitization, working with community members, working with parents to ensure that these policies are implemented successfully. But if it's what we have done individually and together, we've advocated, we have sponsored children to school. Thank you. For the feeding of school children not included in the report. So actually, if you know the education system is in crisis, there are so many issues. If we want to start talking of each issue, it's going to be too long. So we had to prioritize. We didn't just develop this manifesto on our own. We knew it was important to understand the Adamawa context. We've had meetings with traditional leaders. We've had meetings with CSOs that are based in Adamawa State. We've gone to religious leaders and we asked them, what are the issues that you want us to prioritize in the manifesto? This is what they gave us, and this is what we used to develop the manifesto. So we didn't include school feeding program because it was not stated as a priority, and we can't include all the issues. For criticizing only the government, so we did mention that the current administration has done its best by providing free education at the basic education level. But you know that more needs to be done. I mentioned hidden fees. We know that despite the free education, children are still paying some money. Children, still, before they get admitted, they still have to use their own money to buy things, and this is still preventing the free education. Even with this free WAEC and JAM fees that are provided, some people still have to pay for their WAEC and JAM. So it's not truly free. That is why we are emphasizing truly free education. Thank you.
Who read the?
Both of us
Joby.
Seems like this is. No, what are you looking for? Okay, leave it.